Now, though, in our first TV interview, Made in Chelsea's Louise Thompson is right here with a very personal book reflecting on, well, what has to be said, a traumatic few years as a new mother, from developing PTSD after almost dying during the birth of her son Leo, to bravely revealing she's had a stoma bag fitted last month. Louise joins me now. You have been through it. I think it's safe to say you've been through ever such a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I really, I have.
You have, but you call the book, Louise, you call the book lucky.
Yeah.
Do you feel lucky even after everything that's happened?
I think I've reached a place now where I do genuinely feel lucky to have survived and come out the other side.
Right.
And to be okay, physically, but also mentally, because there was a point in time where I never, ever thought that I would get back to this place. I mean, I was verging on, I wasn't able to function following the childbirth.
Oh, it was I mean, people say traumatic. It really was traumatic. It was an emergency caesarean. It looked at one point like you weren't going to survive.
Absolutely. I mean, I've had several life-saving operations now, and in total, I think I've lost 12 litres of blood over a course of just a couple of years. And prior to all of this, you know, I had no experience of the hospital environment. I'd been really well.
Yeah,
very healthy, like the poster girl of health.
You were the poster girl of health. I mean, we all thought, wow, look at this, it's amazing. So you had no idea.
Nothing could have prepared me for it. And I think that that's one of the reasons that I've written the book, is I want to encourage people to talk more openly about this sort of thing to prevent what happened to me from happening to other people.
No, exactly. Because there are, you know, you mentioned it, you talk about it very vividly in the book. There was times in this whole process where it sort of came together like a perfect storm, didn't it? All the circumstances. And you could have been helped before. That was the thing.
Yeah. Well, I think we all know, as women, we know our bodies pretty well. And I think we've got that instinct, don't we? And I knew that, I've got the body of a 14-year-old boy. Like, I'm literally like this. And my partner's huge. And, you know, I had pretty severe anxiety following a miscarriage. And I was involved in a house fire just before birth. I really wanted a C-section, and I knew that from the beginning. I wasn't somebody that dreamt of having a home birth or a water birth, and I felt like I wasn't listened to.
Right.
And there wasn't a lot of consistency in my care, and I was pointed in lots of different directions, and I just felt like I had to jump through a lot of hurdles to even be seen.
It's really hard, isn't it,
really
to do
hard,
that? Because if you'd had that elective C-section that because you are tiny, you're a wee tiny thing. And Leo was, he wasn't a small baby.
Yeah.
So if you'd had that, this could all have been avoided, perhaps?
Yeah, definitely.
It would have been.
No, if it had been a planned C-section, it could have been avoided. And unfortunately, even though I'm doing, really well now, and I'm 95% back to the old me, I will still have to live with having PTSD for my whole life. It's not something that you can just get rid of.
Because when all this is going on and there's this emergency caesarean and it got really serious and very, you describe it so vividly in the book, you were aware of what was going on.
Yeah.
You know, you could see what was going on. You could understand that this was how serious this was.
And I think that's one of the things that was really horrific about the whole experience, was that I wasn't put to sleep. So I was awake during an operation that was over 3 hours with my partner in the room witnessing it too. And it's unthinkable. I think that definitely contributed to the development of the PTSD, because you're aware of everything that's going on. You're witnessing yourself bleed to death, and you can see the panic in the room. You can feel the shaky hands on your body. And I wish that I had actually been put to sleep. And I've spoken to some other women who have been through fairly traumatic births, and they were put under general anaesthetic, and their partner then did have to leave the room. And it was one of the things that I've questioned when I went back for my birth debrief, when I finally felt strong enough 2 years later, to try and get some answers. And, there wasn't really a good explanation, to be honest.
And that's really difficult. That's really hard. And hard for you, for your fiancé to be in there. He saw all of this. That's got to affect your relationship as well. Because he must have felt so helpless. There's nothing that he can do. And, just...
petrifying. And I think we've both, throughout the recovery, especially in the early days, we had no relationship. We were both so traumatised dealing with our own versions of PTSD. And, he's still not in a place where he feels ready to start proper therapy yet. Right. But when I finally did come home after spending near enough a month in hospital, he would lie awake all night, checking on me all night, worried that I was going to die, you know, and he would have flashbacks to, you know, he maybe had more typical PTSD symptoms, like a lot of avoidance symptoms. So he never wanted to talk about anything. He would get really angry whenever he drove past the hospital, and he couldn't go in. You know, he's now had to take Leo for one appointment, and that was, I think, very brave of him to kind of break that cycle. But it's been, you know, the impacts of trauma really are like a tidal wave. They rip their way through every aspect of your life.
And the thing about it is, you know what we're like, we all kind of go, OK, you try and put on the brave face and you try to make the best of a terrible, terrible situation, because that's what we do as human beings. But as if all of this wasn't enough, you've got a very serious medical condition which flared up again, and it's meant that you've had to use a stoma. And I think it's so good that you've actually said, because you should.
Yeah.
You absolutely should. She's got a name as well, Winnie. Winnie the stoma.
Winnie the Pooh.
Winnie the Pooh. I love that. That's really clever. I see what you did there.
It's clever, isn't it?
I see what you did
and it's
there.
a beautiful name anyway.
It is. Because, of course, Adele Roberts, our Adele, who's fantastic, she's got her own name for hers, which is Audrey, and she did Dancing on Ice, she did all these amazing things. Louise, this helps people no end who are going through the same thing. So I think it's brilliant that you've just said, look, this is me, this is what I'm living with.
Thank you.
This is Winnie, and here we are. And how are you just now, for goodness sake?
Honestly, I feel so good.
You look great.
Thank you.
You look so well.
This is the best I've felt in 2 years, 2.5, 3 years. And actually, even pre-pregnancy, I feel really well, to the point where my friends and family are now saying, maybe I need my colon removed, which is a bit dramatic.
No, we don't want that. But at the same time, you're living your best life, even with all of that. And how's baby Leo? Oh, he's not a baby.
He's fab. He's 2.5 now.
How can he be 2.5?
I have no idea.
2 minutes ago, he was he was never teeny tiny because he takes after his daddy. But he was just this tiny wee baby, and now he is here. But you can't have any more kids, or can you? Or do you feel that you could? Or is it too soon?
It's still fairly inconclusive. I will never mentally be strong enough to carry a child.
Okay, I understand
physically,
that.
I've got something called Asherman syndrome, where my uterus is glued together.
Oh, love.
With scar tissue. So.
Oh, jeez.
I know. I suppose in one sense it's a bit of a miracle that I didn't have to have a hysterectomy. So I do still have a womb, and I spent, you know, I had a year with no periods, and hence. Then I had a surgery to try and kind of fix that, and then that ended up in another hemorrhage. So it's where I'm left currently is that the hospital have sort of said it would be too life-threatening we wouldn't want to do another surgery in that area. Like, let's let you live. And equally, you know, I'm so grateful to have one beautiful, healthy child who has lots of friends and cousins.
Yeah.
And, you know, I do have ovaries, so there's a chance that I could freeze some eggs and embryos.
Further down the line.
Yeah, when I'm ready.
Further down the line, because Louise, there's a lot happening. And I know that this book is written, obviously, very difficult to write it, but I know it is written, you want to help other people. You don't want any other couple or, you know, or any other family to have to go through what you went through, because it was horrific.
Yeah.
It was absolutely horrific. It's an extraordinary read. I feel as if I know you very well.
Thank you.
And it's like you're talking to me.
I feel like I know you very well as well.
And I still think it's great that you think you're lucky. I like that. I like that sort of attitude. It'll take you far. Thank you so much for coming in. I really, really appreciate it. And we have to say that we spoke to the Chelsea and Westminster Hospital. They told us it's right to recognise when care, this is their words, doesn't meet the standards patients rightly expect, and that they learn from it. Well, I hope they have. I really do. Thank you. Thank you so, so much. And Lucky, it's out on Thursday. Good luck with it. Good luck with Lucky.